am very excited because today my guest is Brad Kuvan. Brad Kuvan is the editorial director for Precision Metalforming Association and Metalforming Magazine. Why this is so important is because I've talked to a lot of B2B publishers, but they're not connected with an association. And as Brad is going to tell us, they do lots of events and webinars, and he's going to tell us how that really helps his subscriber base and growing his membership list. But before we get started, my name is Donna Peterson, and you are listening to the B2B Marketing Excellence Podcast. I go around the world talking with business leaders, marketing directors about their industry, what's working, what's not, so that we all as companies can figure out the best way to grow our business. So let's jump in. Good morning, Brad. How are you?
I'm doing great, Donna. How about yourself?
Good. I'm so glad you decided to join me. I know last minute, but I'm really happy about it.
Well, thank you for the invitation. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and it was just a perfect segue because I'm heading into my fall season of traveling now with different shows. So I have Fab Tech and then I have yours. So this was a perfect time.
Excellent. Excellent.
One of the questions I wanted to ask you is I just saw, I think it was yesterday, that there are 10,274 professional organizations. And that count has decreased since 2022. What do you see as some of your biggest challenges in keeping PMA out there and growing its membership?
Well, that's a really good question. And I love that you introduced me as being part of the trade association as well as a publication, because the first part of my career in publishing was with a publishing company. So we really just focused on the magazine. But being part of the trade association is incredibly valuable to me as a journalist because I get to network with the member companies in addition to the readers. And we do have opportunities then as editors to get involved in some of the other things that the association does, as you mentioned, some conferences and webinars, which I know some publishing companies do that, but not to the level that that the trade association and the PMA specifically do. So, you know, the challenges, any association is challenged if you survey the landscape of trade associations. With getting members, I think membership in a trade association seems to be a little bit old school, and the younger people coming up through the ranks of manufacturing companies specifically, I think question the value in trade association membership. But PMA really has done a terrific job over the last 7 or 8 years and consistently year over year growing. So, you know, during the recession, you know, we did lose members, right? It's actually pretty remarkable what we've been able to do in year over year growth. And, you know, that's a testament to the membership team here and to our leadership for developing the types of programs that really not only attract new members, but then the key, and I'm no trade association expert, I'm an editor, but the key is retention. So you bring people in, whatever it is that you're able to convince them with and kind of set that hook, but getting them to remain as members, which really is getting them involved in the association activities. If you're involved, you're more likely to stay. If you sign up and then you don't participate, you're maybe less likely to renew your membership when that time comes. So, you know, stickiness is what membership talks about. How do you keep people interested and engaged? And one of the programs that PMA developed, oh gosh, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, it's called Metalform EDU. So Metalform EDU is an online training regimen, more than 800 courses that our member companies can engage and list their employees and continuously train and upgrade their skills, which obviously is you know, the number one concern these days with manufacturing companies is retaining their employees and training and developing them. And so Metalform EDU is a way that we can attract new members, but then when they enlist in these courses and continuously train their employees, they stick around and renew their membership so that they can continue to have access to Metalform EDU.
Yeah.
And then, members look to PMA and to Metalforming Magazine for new technology developments. And one of the ways that we provide that, as you said, is through conferences and seminars. We have two employees at PMA who regularly visit member companies and conduct in-plant training.
Nice.
And then we do symposiums and conferences, online events, and the magazine does all of those as well. And online events are great, and more of those are popping up for training opportunities. But our members, PMA members, tell us the number one reason for joining is networking.
Yeah.
It's a little bit hard to network, on an online event. So we continue to attract a decent number of people to live events, so they can learn from speakers, but then they learn from each other through the networking opportunities that we provide.
Yeah. Well, I'm a testament to that on what PMA is doing, because I think it was December, I went to the Southern New England Christmas cocktail party, which was, it was very low key, but it was great because you really just got to talk to people. No one was selling or promoting their business. You were just getting to know people and start to form those relationships, which I also think when you get into a group of people you like to be around, hey, yeah, you know what? At 5:30, I am going to head up there to that because they're my buddies. I want to go talk to them, and you stay involved. But then at all the metalworking shows, so East Tech, I know PMA had an event there, which was interesting because you guys were kind of ahead of the curve, because one of the presenters were about preventative AI, which, everyone's talking about now, but PMA was doing it back in May, which to me is huge. You guys were ahead of the curve. And as a member, that's what you want to see. You want to see that information before everybody else so that you can educate yourself and get on board.
Right.
And in-person events, I'm sorry, there is nothing that beats that, shaking of hands. Like, we went to the PMA event, we met a gentleman, we started talking about scuba diving for the longest time. And that wouldn't happen if it was a Zoom call or a Zoom meeting. So I agree. I think PMA is on the right path. And obviously that is why you have grown your membership when some organizations are dealing with the challenge of decreasing memberships.
Right. I agree.
So that's good. So now PMA, as we mentioned, publishes Metalforming Magazine. And you kind of touched on this a little bit on how do you continue to develop that content that keeps your subscribers engaged, but then also continues to grow that subscription file?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's certainly, I guess it's a challenge that we as editors take on, but it's really an opportunity. We're learners as much as we are teachers and technology transfer professionals. Like I said, working for the trade association gives us, myself and the other editors on the magazine, really unique and special access to our readers. Our readership expands well beyond the membership of PMA, but certainly the members are readers, and we network with them on a regular basis. And so we're able to stay on top of what's important to them as company leaders. And it is mostly the company leaders that belong to PMA. So, we're networking with presidents and vice presidents of these small and mid-sized companies that tend to be our members. And so they help us develop content paths, if you will, in terms of, new readers, because overall the industry has contracted somewhat through acquisition and overseas competition and recessions and what have you. We did just acquire a few months ago one of our competitors. So when you acquire a publication, you acquire a nice healthy list of possibly new readers. So we're marketing to them.
Is that Stamping Journal?
That's correct.
Stamping Journal.
Yeah,
okay.
That's correct. So we're marketing to them to become new readers of our publication. We're marketing to them to come to our events.
Crisscrossing. You're, telling them, okay, yep,
Right. And of course, marketing to them to become members
Yes.
of the Precision Metal Forming Association. And we've already reaped the benefits of in all of those categories in just a month or two
Wow.
since the acquisition. So we'll continue to market thousands of names really that we picked up of current industry professionals.
That's a
who should be
testament.
interested.
That's a testament to the value of the content and your events, that you're able to crisscross and, you know, get people to subscribe to another publication, but also to join your membership.
Right, right. So yeah, we're pretty optimistic that that's going to continue to reap benefits for some time. And then, of course, you know, like everyone knows in publishing, you know, the landscape for delivering content continues to evolve dramatically. You know, we're still lucky that our readers still want print publication. That's what they tell us through surveys. And that we're able to provide that to them, even with the rising costs of, you know, paper and postage, et cetera.
Yeah.
But, you know, we've obviously continued to evolve our delivery mechanisms with, you know, we upgraded our, really launched a new website a couple of years ago. We continue to develop new e-newsletters. I think we're up to maybe 5 different e-newsletters that we publish now on a monthly basis. We touched on events, and we've done the virtual events and continue to do virtual events as well as live events. All kinds of. It seems like every year we're in our planning phase now for 2024, and every year we challenge ourselves to come up with something, you know,
Something
at least 1
new.
or 2 new ideas. Yeah. So last year or 2 years ago we launched something called Metalforming Live. So it's kind of like a Meet the Press style live event with our editors and content experts sitting around a table with the cameras rolling for an hour and a half with an online audience. We've had online audiences, you know, upwards of 150, 200 people.
Wow.
So they can participate, right? So instead of just them reading what we're writing about,
Yeah.
we have this virtual kind of televised discussion. We've got 2 cameras and microphones, and we're talking about topics of the day, and somebody can chime in on their laptop and say, hey, you know, can you guys talk about this, or what about that? And so
that's so valuable because
expand that.
Yeah, it's so valuable because now these people are able to help kind of navigate how the discussion goes to really serve them. What are their questions, their challenges? And I also feel any kind of live, like our podcast, any kind of broadcasting that you put out there, people, yes, can hear what you're saying, but they get a real feel, you know, like they figure out the personality behind the association or the magazine, just like hearing about that education side. I didn't know about that until now, until you just told me.
Okay.
And so that is a great feature because it is about giving. It is about offering value to people, because that's when they'll stay.
Right.
So I think
100%.
PMA is doing a great job there, and keep up with those live events and videos, because that's what people want to see, but they want to put in those questions about what they want.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Metalforming Live was a really good concept. Like I said, that we introduced a couple of years ago, and we continue to expand it. So we did last year, we added what we call Metalforming Live on the shop floor. So it wasn't just content experts, but it was actual some member companies, some not member companies, but it was executives from metal forming companies talking about what they're doing on their shop floor, and they showed us videos. We really couldn't broadcast from the shop floor, technical reasons for that, but they brought us videos of how they're using, in this case, robotics and automation solutions. And so they talked about the challenges and opportunities with automation, and how did they tackle some of those challenges, and what was the end result. Metalforming Live on the shop floor. Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was fun.
That is interesting. Now, let me ask you a question, because someone asked me this the other day. Do you ever do lives with the actual people who are working on the shop floor?
So, like I said, it's a little bit technically challenging in a manufacturing environment to broadcast because of the frequency.
Oh, I get that. I meant like just the technicians who are on the shop floor. I know you can't be on the shop floor because of sometimes safety issues, but do you speak to those technicians or people who are actually like boots on the ground working?
Yeah. So we do talk to them when we when we do article visits for the magazine. We have not included them in the live event format. Well, I shouldn't say that. We did have one of the guys with us in the conference room environment talking about his application. He was an engineer, so he wasn't really a machine operator, but he was, you know, in that middle management role instead of only talking to the president. So he was very technically knowledgeable about how the automation system worked, if that makes sense. Versus the CEO, who, you know, may or may not know that, but he knows the big picture financial ramifications, that type of thing. So we do go to that mid-level engineering management type of person.
Good. Good.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about maybe engaging more of an operator or a technician, but that's not a bad idea.
No, because I just heard from another manufacturing company the other day, and they realized that's a huge void for them. They're not giving a voice to those people, and they realized if they gave a voice to those people, that's how also you might get more people interested in this industry. But it educates them, but also they want to hear from people that are like themselves. And that's where you can also maybe grow your membership or subscribers to include those people, because now they're hearing exactly what they need to hear. Yes, they want to hear about from the CEO about an overview, but that's not going to help them do their job or start their profession. So that mid space they noticed was a void for them, and they're going to start trying to tackle that and give it more of a voice.
Yeah, I like it. It's a good idea.
Yeah. So now I think we touched on this, on how conferences and live events can help PMA retain and attract new members. But what do you have on the horizon to do for this?
Well, to your point, like I did mention, you know, it is that networking with each other is really what the members tell us is a key benefit of membership. And live events, conferences are definitely you know, a way to bring people together. So you're not just learning from a speaker, but you're learning from each other. You get to meet the speaker, maybe form a relationship, exchange business cards, that type of thing, and follow up with them. And you know, maybe they're a consultant, maybe it's somebody that you want to bring into your company. We know that happens all the time with PMA events. We do dozens of regional events like the one you mentioned in New England. And then we do a series of national events like the one that's coming up on Industry 4.0 that you're speaking at. So, you know, we continue to survey the landscape of the members and find out what topics are of interest to them. I think a good example of that is kind of the iconic PMA event is the Automotive Parts Suppliers Conference. And that's been in Detroit for, I don't know, 30 years or something. This year, for the first time, it's moving to the Southeast in South Carolina. We'll do that in a couple of months. So, you know, the automotive industry has migrated, certainly now with EV production and battery production moving heavily in the Southeast. It makes sense for PMA to move the Automotive Parts Suppliers Conference. I think the plan is to rotate that yearly, so it'll be in Michigan next year and then back in South Carolina the following year.
That's important that you're keeping track of the industry and saying, you know, most of it is over there, so we need to change where the conference can be. But I also noticed when you go back to networking, PMA, you're also doing networking events. So FabTech, next week is FabTech. And I noticed that PMA is doing a networking event one night. So it's not even your event, but you still put an emphasis on that networking event for your members. Which is great. Like for myself, you know, yes, I see some people in New England, but now I'm going to be in Illinois and I'll see different great people who are PMA members.
Right, and you'll get a real good dose at that event at FabTech of what PMA membership's all about. We'll have a great turnout there. We always do. And again, that's a testament to the leadership here that understands the value of networking. And so we're constantly looking for opportunities, you know, to create new networking, you know, venues, places for the members to get together. And they, you know, you mentioned earlier, I think too, that the friendships that are formed,
Oh.
and you'll see that at FabTech. Yeah, they'll talk business for sure, and we've got these online networking groups where that I'm privy to a little bit of those online conversations, and they do help each other's businesses
Yes.
when they can. But they're friends, and you'll see that.
I think that's,
they know each other's families, and
yeah.
they go on golfing trips together. But they're always talking about their businesses and looking for ways to improve and help each other.
Well, it becomes kind of, as a business owner myself, it becomes your blood, really. I always seem to be talking about business, but it's nice when you can get to a group of people who have a like-minded interest in the business, but then you also put the personal side in and just try to help each other. It just creates more meaningful relationships, and it gives you more purpose in your life, which I think is more fulfilling in the end.
Certainly.
So then in October, you touched on this briefly, PMA is having a conference 4.0. It's about 4.0. It's Industry Experience 4.0 for metal formers and fabricators. Why do you feel that conference is so important right now?
Yeah, so this is I don't know, maybe the 8th or 9th year where we've done this conference in various phases to keep our audience, so our readers and our members, kind of on the leading edge of the technology that they're going to need to apply to continue to remain productive and profitable, especially in light of the challenges that they face with labor. So how can you do more with less? How can you avoid unscheduled downtimes and still meet delivery dates as your equipment ages, as your people call in sick, or maybe you just don't have enough people to complete the work, which we hear that all the time. So this conference started as a really just focused on ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning software, and MRP software to help our audience. Again, this was 8 or 9 years ago. Gather data from the shop floor, make sure the data is flowing through to the people who need to see it, onto production scheduling, and so kind of connecting the dots through your company to make you more efficient, productive. We focused on software. Then we evolved it to Internet of Things. So ERP is a software tool that helps feed the Internet of Things applications in your company, and so that was kind of the next phase. And then a couple of years ago, we decided to encompass all things Industry 4.0, of which ERP and MRP and Internet of Things and additive manufacturing, all of that are kind of branches off of the Industry 4.0 tree, if you will. So, I remember when we started the Internet of Things conference, and we definitely were kind of leading our audience into this technology. A lot of them were not using it. I remember introducing it to folks at another conference, kind of promoting our the Internet of Things conference, which was coming up. And I could see by the looks on their faces, they were like, "This is not for me." And
you're speaking Greek to them.
Unfortunately, but fortunately, and that's our job as editors, really, is to it's great to talk about what companies are doing today and how are you using current technology, but I've always felt the responsibility to lead people to the next thing. And as you mentioned earlier, it's okay kind of being first to some of these things. Companies don't want to be the first to use it. They want to see how others are using it. And to that point, we always provide case study examples. How are companies actually using this technology? And for this Industry 4.0 conference coming up, we do have, I think, 3 or 4, maybe 5 even, case study examples of how various metal formers and fabricators. So this is not, we're not talking about Eaton Corporation and Volvo and Ford and Boeing. We're talking about Tier 2 small and mid-sized companies using Industry 4.0 to varying levels. Some companies in our market are investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in this. Others are investing tens of thousands of dollars, but they're doing it. And they've got the benefits to show for it. And it does all relate to productivity and efficiency and avoiding unscheduled, unplanned downtime events that interrupt your ability to satisfy your customers' quality and delivery requirements. So all of the above is why this is an important conference, we feel, for the industry and for our market specifically.
I totally agree. One of the common challenges I heard from different manufacturers is we can't get people. We can't get people to, apply for these jobs. And this is one way that can help them. One, PMA can help them with the information, the education side, but also if you're able to stay ahead of the curve, maybe you can use some of the technology that can help decrease how many people you need, but also just to streamline maybe your process so that you can be more efficient and produce whatever you're manufacturing as quickly as possible in a quality fashion.
Right.
So
right.
I
And we
think it
also
should be very effective.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We also find out that companies that use these types of leading edge technologies are the ones best able to attract new, younger workers to their companies. When they walk the shop floor, they don't see a lot of people doing dirty, dangerous jobs. They see a lot of automated equipment. They see people on computer terminals leveraging data, conveying information through the ERP platform or whatever the software platform is that they're using. And we see that actually growing at a pretty accelerated pace, that type of activity, bringing new, younger employees. When I visit manufacturing companies, the ones where the workforce are in their 30s and not in their 50s are the ones that are using
the newer,
maybe not all of Industry 4.0, all of the opportunities in Industry 4, but some of them, they're doing some additive manufacturing, or they're they've got these computer terminals on the shop floor where they can see the data and adjust their schedules, and they're using keypads that they're used to using on their phones and iPads, that type of activity. So that's why I think this is an important conference for PMA and Metalforming Magazine to continue to evolve and produce.
Well, as you know, at the conference, I'm going to be talking about how to empower manufacturers with AI and ChatGPT.
Right.
And the AI is such a hot topic right now, but I'm even seeing new job titles appear because of it. For instance, a prompt engineer. A year ago, there was not a prompt engineer, but you're right. The younger generations, they're like, oh, artificial intelligence. Yes. And it's like, it's almost like the carrot. And you're right. If these companies can implement even a little bit of it, hopefully then they'll be able to attract these younger generations. And if they get in and see what a fascinating industry this is, that's when they get hooked and they'll stay for a lifetime.
Right. Absolutely.
Good. All right. I want to thank you so much for your time today. And I look forward to seeing you, I guess next week, maybe at FabTech.
I'll see you at FabTech. Yes. Thanks so much for having me. I really enjoyed the conversation, and we'll see you at FabTech, and then we'll see you again at the Industry 4.0 conference.
Yep, definitely. Talk to you later. Bye. Thank you for listening to the B2B Marketing Excellence Podcast. Please hit the subscribe button below so you don't miss our next episode. And in the meantime, if you'd like to talk to me, please feel free to send me an email to dpeterson@worldinnovators.com. Till next time, have a great day.